All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sean Anthony live, and joining me next for a conversation is comedian Miss Kelly Kellz. Kelly, welcome to the program. How are you?
I am amazing. How are you, Sean Anthony? I love that name. I just feel like
Thank
I
you.
feel like I should name a couple of people need to be Sean Anthony. Like that's just
I
giving rich
appreciate it.
vibes.
That's all my mama's doing,
Yeah.
so kudos to my mother. But
Shout out to your mama.
yeah, shouts out to you though. Congratulations on all the success that is happening for you. I really want to take it back in the beginning. You were born and raised in Milwaukee, raised in
414.
a single household by your mom, Deborah
Yeah.
Stinnett,
Yes.
oldest of three children.
Yeah.
Talk about your upbringing in the Midwest and the moment that you realized you had a great sense of humor.
Oh man. Well, shout out to my amazing mom who is still holding it down for us. And you think it get easier the older your children get, but no, I'm sure it's more difficult. So my mom, 18 with me. So my grandma helped out a lot. But my mom still was independent. So my mom had her own space, and then I would go back and forth from my mom and my grandma because I was spoiled. And if my mama said no, my grandma would say yeah. And I'd be like, well, I'm moving. I did that until probably like my senior year in high school. And my little sister kept going back and forth with me because I had to take care of my little sister. My mom worked and worked. I was just telling a couple friends probably like 3 weeks ago, I didn't even realize that we were poor. Like I didn't know what poor was, even though I grew up in the inner city, grew up in the hood. I didn't know what poor felt like because my mom, we actually had everything that we wanted. Now
Right.
she wore the same pair of K-Swiss for a year, I think. But she kept them so clean. I'm talking about white shoe polish. She'll be hitting them boys with Dawn. And meanwhile, we're wearing whatever it is that we asked for. And so my mom just did a good job of that, like keeping us used to finer things, but still she didn't have enough to get us out the hood. I'm glad she didn't, because the hood builds and gives you character. The inner city is where character is built. That's why when we see most rappers and artists, entertainers, think about their story. Unless they grew up with the silver spoon, most of them come from the inner city where they like, man, I come from the trenches down below. And so when you get a piece of stardom, when you taste fame, when you're educated, when you get to colleges, you're like, oh, I can make it because I made it there.
Right.
Like, this is nothing.
Now, speaking of colleges, we have something in common.
Come on, tell them.
We got something in common. Well, you went to Central State University here in Ohio, and I went to Central State as well. So we're Centralians. For God, for love, for Central, right?
For God, for Central, for State. Let's go, CSU.
I did butcher it, but
yeah, that's okay. I had your back, and we understood.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you going to Central State? What did you focus on when you were there?
So I communication, radio and TV broadcasting. Of course, with this voice, in my mind, Kelly, you about to take the radio over. There's no way you're not going to be a great radio personality. Well, I'm an amazing personality, but we know everything about radio. When people love radio, they don't leave, okay? It's a job that you never have to leave. You be like, Quiet Storms. He started off in gospel. They just transitioned. They 88 and they not leaving. Well, I go to Central. I'm not knowing. I'm not technically a first-year generation college student. My grandmother went to college. My dad went to college, but I didn't have that experience with him. So on my mom's side, I was just the one, like, go. Pulling up at an HBCU was like life-changing. I suggest every parent send their kid to an HBCU because it teaches you that I can be around the same ethnic group, the same culture, and we all pop and we all benefit and we all build off each other. Oh, it teaches you how, hey, if I don't have, you do. I don't have any noodles. That's cool. I got bread and hot dogs. So we're going to have a whole meal in this dorm.
What dorm did you stay in?
I lived in Williamson my freshman year, and then I was an RA after that.
Oh, you was like bumped out. I was in Hughes Hall.
Oh, and I wasn't there when I got there.
Oh, okay. See, I'm showing my age there.
Yeah, you dating yourself. Hey, it's all good though. The breezeway was gone when I got there. Oh my God, yeah. I graduated college in 2008.
Oh man, I was in Virginia in 2008, on the radio in VA.
You was wearing regular snapbacks. That was before the fedoras, boy.
Yeah. I've always been a hat man though, but you're right. College does, especially in HBCU, it was eye-opening, and it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, you were Delta. You pledged Delta.
A proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Delta Kappa chapter. Oh my God, like that was the best thing ever. So my grandmother on my dad's side is a Delta. So I always knew I was going to be a Delta, just didn't know how it works. It's totally different from a PWI and an HBCU. So
PWI, what's a PWI?
A private white institution,
predominantly
white institution.
Okay.
Oh yeah, predominantly white PWI.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not giving an acronym. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, pledging Delta was life-changing. Shout out to my Sans Kamikaze. It was 11 of us from all over the world, and we just came together and create the bond. And I needed that. I needed that sisterhood, even though I'm the oldest, right? So I have a lot of responsibility. Meanwhile, now I have sisters and they can take on the responsibility. We all sharing out. It was life-changing. It was perfect for me. And even in my career now, sometimes I make a foolish comment, like, man, I should have never went to college. Because what I'm doing now, I feel like, I didn't need it. But everything was in divine order. I needed college. I needed to host the Miss Black and Gold pageant. I needed to host auctions. I needed that experience in front of people earlier on. I needed to get a degree, even though I didn't use it. And I ended up being a school teacher, but I needed those life experiences for the now. So I'm so excited.
That's dope. I want to fast forward, but just to tie back in the CSU to Central, I was a freshman because I went to school with Omarosa.
Oh man, Omarosa are really close.
So I was a freshman and she was a senior. So, I had an opportunity to bear witness at her greatness at an early age coming out of college, watching her throughout her career. So, let's talk about your comedy career. When was the first time you went on the stage? Well, when did you realize that you can take this comedy career serious? And then you went to start doing stand-up. What was that transition like?
So I've been comedic my entire life. Like teachers wanted to put me out of class. Not that I was bad. I used to have them laughing so much they couldn't even teach. So I had to, I think I sat next to a teacher probably like 8 years out of elementary, middle, and high school, right next to the teacher, like, please stop. I'm like, but you laughing too. So I've always been that girl. My mom is funny and my dad, they both are extremely funny in their own ways. It was when I was in Milwaukee and I was hanging out at the shop with Miss Cutting Up. Shout out to Miss Cutting Up. And she told me, hey, I do comedy. She was my beautician at the time. I was home from school and she was like, I do comedy. I was like, you do what? I think I'm funny. You do comedy? Please let me try. Well, my boyfriend at the time, he my husband now. I'm like, babe, I think I'm gonna do comedy on Mother's Day. He like, I bet you won't. What? I bet you won't. You cannot dare me. I am not one of them girls that you could just dare and leave it there. So it was a dare, 2009. Wow. It's been 13 years, 2009. And I went in there and they said 5 minutes. Now you are in radio. We know 5 minutes, time and all that stuff. You have to be punctual with that. But when you're not into that life of comedy, you don't know what 5 minutes feel like and what it should like.
Feels like an eternity, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, guess who did 8 minutes? Me.
Oh, okay.
And guess who got a standing O? Me. Yes. Thank God. My first show ever, I received a standing O at Savoy's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was a promoter in there by the name of Boulder. He actually booked me for a show in Chicago that following week.
That's dope. Let me tell you, I have a great appreciation for stand-up comedy because when I was trying to tell you yesterday on our conversation, early in my career, a radio career, I was the producer for a morning show here in Columbus. And it was the Chuck and Andrew show. Chuck was the radio personality. Andrew was a comedian. He was the owner of the first Black comedy club, not just in Columbus, but in the state of Ohio. But I worked for him as a teenager. I was passing out flyers and I used to play the DJ in his comedy club when the comedians would come in town. And I'm talking about all the greats before they are who they are now.
Yeah.
Like the Cheryl Underwoods, the Moniques, the Steve Harveys, the Cedrics, all of them came through, you know, his comedy stop. And there was a lot of things that I learned during those couple of years that I worked under him was about comedic timing. Timing is crucial in comedy, and just
Yes.
you know, how to read the room and how to follow up on somebody else's to make the joke funny, or setting things
The
up.
sag. Oh, I love it. I love it. The
So
callbacks.
So let me ask you this. Well, did you have a mentor, or did someone, you know, take you under their wing when you first started doing comedy to kind of give you the, you know, some tools, some nuggets and tips?
So initially, no. Initially, it was just I just went out there. So I was a teacher for 9 years, and the whole entertainment aspect, or being in front of a crowd, that was something I naturally grasped, you know, reading the rooms and things like that. So I just went out there shooting my best shot, being funny, being Kelly, not knowing structure of jokes, not knowing timing, just going out there, and it was working. And it still works to this day, obviously. But I didn't read a book. I didn't do that. I'm like, man, why go and do something that someone else is doing? Why try to go follow a guideline someone else is doing when I can clearly be Kelly? Because I asked God to make room for my gift. I can clearly be Kelly, and that be enough. So initially, no. It wasn't until I was at Bob Sumner's room in Hollywood at the Comedy Store. And if you know Bob Sumner, him, and along with I was gonna say Russell Wilson. Oh goodness, I'm having a brain fart. Def Jam.
Okay, Russell Simmons.
Russell Simmons. There we go. Russell Simmons. Oh my goodness.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. God damn. So Russell Simmons and Bob Sumner were the foundation of Def Jam. So earlier in my career, that's where I wanted to go. Let me meet up with Bob Sumner, man. Bob Sumner gonna change my life. And you know, Bob Sumner changes a lot of people's lives. Well, something was there for me that had nothing to do with Bob. It was a guy named Talent from New York, from Mount Vernon, New York, one of the kings of comedy, not just the king of New York, the kings of comedy. He's a GOAT. One of the funniest men I've ever met in my life. Well, I didn't even know him then. He had just saw me on stage. Martin was in the audience. A whole lot of heavy hitters was in the audience, but they were talking when I was on stage. Like they was just, you know, kicking it, seeing each other. But it was an audience in there dying laughing. Talent came backstage and he was like, yo, B. But he called me the B word. Like, yo, you funny. You hella funny. I was like, wait. I got on the phone with my husband, like, babe, this guy named Talent just called me a B.
You wasn't used to that vernacular, that kind of.
No, and not at all. But you know, in New York, that's how they talk, you know?
Yeah.
Man, Talent was like, my husband was like, Talent. He was like, get off the phone with me and talk to him. I'm
wow.
Like,
he knew who he was.
It's just comedy. Yeah, he was a huge fan. I spoke with him, and he, after that point, he was like, you should come to New York. He was like, they will love you there. You're young, fresh, you know, something they never seen before. And instantly he became a mentor, big brother. When I filmed HBO and we actually had the premiere, he was the host for my premiere. That more than a mentor at this point, family. But yeah, when people see something in you and they almost kind of like have some of the roadmap, can't nobody give you the entire game.
Right.
They just take and navigate you through certain things. Like, yeah, you're going to skip that part, because we're going to get you here.
Give me something, like just one thing that stands out to you that you learned during that process, maybe from him, or it could have been somebody else when you were filming, you know, HBO, Def Jam. Not a lot of comedians can say that they've been able to do that. But what's something that stands out to you that you learned that you're like, wow, I didn't know this, but then it just took your career to another level?
Being authentic is it. People, transparency is real, and not trying to duplicate what you've seen, just really being yourself. So that is the thing that he told me. I was already doing that, but then to actually see it work to this day. Like, everyone loves Kelly. When I get booked for roles in movies, I know this sounds crazy. Most people have to play a character. They like, hey, we want you to be you. And I'm like, come on, God. You know how easy it is for me to be me. So trusting the process, really believing in who and what you are. That's the one thing that I've learned, even with filming HBO. I was looking at other people's sets because I filmed the second day, but we were in LA earlier. So I had the opportunity to see a couple of episodes or a couple of people being shot. And I was like, Okay. And sometimes that can get inside your mental. I should be doing it this way. I should be doing it that way. No, do exactly your way. Do it what got you there. And it's going to be authentic and it's going to transcend through the film, through TV. That's going to be real, right?
That's dope, man. That's really dope. And on essence.com, you said the hardest part of being a comedian is being on the road without my daughter, you said.
That's it.
I wanna get your response to that. But first, I want to ask you, what is it like being on the road with your husband?
Let me say this. My husband is my manager. And a lot of times separating the two can become difficult because it's intertwined. We lay in a bed, we either talking about bills or a deal. You know what I mean? And when we talking about bills, I'll be all right. If we talking about deals, I'm like, so what are we doing? It's so crazy. But it gives me a sense of calmness because nobody's gonna have your back like your spouse when they have your back. When I say that man is 100% secure in who he is and he let me be Kelly, I'm beautiful, I'm bold, I'm intelligent, I'm witty, I'm all these amazing things that everybody gravitate to, not just men, the room, okay? Right. And so now I'm being sucked, all the energy is being sucked out of me. He see it too, like, you good? I'm like, I'm good. But he's allowing me to do that without standing by the side. What's she doing? Nah, they don't even know he's there half the time until we want to talk deals, right? Okay. And that's a great part when he's not there. I'd be like, oh man, the show was amazing, but I wish you were there. You know, it's just right. the having somebody in your corner is always going to be easy when you know that they're there and they're there for all the right reasons and not just pulling up now that you popping.
That's very admirable. You know what I'm saying? And salute to your husband because, you know, I'm sure there's challenges, you know, from you know, his perspective. But I want to ask you, what are the challenging parts? Like when it's not peaches and cream, you know, yeah. I'm married, so I understand, you know, we have great days and some days, you know, it ain't
some days
so...
you like, I want a new agreement.
You want to do a what?
A new agreement. Can we renew this license? Hell, every other license you got to renew, but the marriage license.
So what kind of advice would you, I mean, I wouldn't say advice, but something that you've learned on how to, you know, work it out.
Shut your mouth, Kelly. Shut up. It is not that. Sometimes you have to just take the back seat, men and women. That's not a gender thing. That's a human thing. Man, at the end of the day, is this something I'm going to be mad about tomorrow, 20 minutes from now? Literally, Kelly, you have so much shit on your plate. You have so much on your plate right now. You cannot be upset at him because it messes up your vibration. And he don't want to be upset with you because, you know, right. he knows that energy transcends to the stage. Now, sometimes, don't get it twisted. Sometimes I can be like super upset with him and we'll talk about it, but I'm like, man, he irritating. I go on the stage to kill a show. I'm like, I think I just used all that energy beating them people up that I want to do to you. But just knowing when to bow down or bow out gracefully, not even bow down, when to just be submissive to it's not that serious. Or I am a typical wife. Oh, you gonna turn left. Oh, you missed your turn. I am that wife.
Okay.
He like, you want to drive? I'm like, of course not. Why would I want to do that? What I look like driving and I got a chauffeur? Why would I?
You're gonna coach him through it though, right?
Yeah, he like, hey, so sometimes I have to fake like I'm asleep. We ain't going nowhere but 12 minutes. I be like, just learning when to just be quiet sometimes. That's the awesome. Thing for me. And that's the thing for most people.
How do you guys adjust, you know, without being with your daughter when you're traveling a lot?
So she's 10 now. And of course, her whole life has changed. Here she is. She's had a cell phone since she was like 6, but now she's on her phone. She's FaceTiming her friends. She's FaceTiming me all day, every day. I'm like, listen, I'm not even there. Call your daddy. I don't know. I don't care what you do. Eat it. I don't care. I'm not there. But I have a sense of peace now. So actually, I was able, Mother's Day weekend. This is a really good question. Mother's Day weekend, this past Mother's Day weekend, we were in Riddles in Chicago. I had 5 shows. Thursday, one show, Saturday, two shows, Fridays, two shows, Saturday, two shows. Well, we took Savannah. We took my daughter with us. First show, she on fire. Oh my God, Mom, you're so amazing. The audience are like, oh my God, you're a superstar. That's the first show. That's Thursday. So we bring her back Friday for the two shows. She's like the first show. She's like, oh my God, I get to eat all this food and do all this. And she enjoying herself. But we have two shows this night. She's like, Mom, what are we doing here still? I was like, I have another show. She was like, you have to do that again. She was like, Mama, honestly, I really thought when you go to your shows, you go out and do other things. And I didn't know that you spent this much time at the comedy clubs. I'm like, yes, Savannah, I'd much rather be with you. You know, I gave her that speech. But for her to have that aha coming to Jesus moment where she kind of like put the time frame together, like, baby, when your mama out working, I'm working. And this is what it takes for when I'm on stage and I have to be here. And yes, this is long. And she understood that for me. And it was like a calmness. It was like, God, I need that because this next level I'm about to go to. This next level that I'm going to, I have to have that reassurance because I can't worry about that on this next level.
Kelly, I have a ton of questions for you, and I know we're tight on time, man. Talk about, can you let us into, what's some of the projects you got coming up? You mentioned films and roles you're reading for. Are we going to see you in movies on Netflix or something real soon?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, right now I'm shooting a pilot for Netflix. Now, people who are in the entertainment field, I've shot probably like 70, no, probably like 4 or 5 pilots. But things get shelved a lot. Things don't go. And it's for every great show you love, it was 100 shows in that same category that was pitched. So, you just tend to just work until it go. And you never know when. So the pressure is off my shoulder of when, because I'm constantly moving. Right. The wind is in my face. So you're living when the wind is in your face and you can feel it. And that's what I'm embracing. Projects that I'm excited about. So I know that I'm an influencer now. I've been an influencer, but now you have the title. I have 1 million followers on Facebook. I have about 130,000 on Instagram, about 130,000 on TikTok. And I'm super grateful. I know that's God. Blue check, you verified. Now use that to your advantage. It's bigger than you. So influence. I'm a Delta. I keep a red lip on besides today because I'm clearly family day. But and I don't know if that red gonna hit with this orange, but I created a lipstick called OKK by Kellz. And it's fire. The red is called fire. A lip liner called Lit in this bitch because I was waiting on Maybelline and Revlon and all these different people I thought I wanted to be like brand ambassadors for. And then when you have a team that fuels your fire, they're like, nah, you can create your own lane. You create your own. That's something that is already it. It already launched Mother's Day, so I'm excited about that. I have tours right now with Funny Marco and Cheating Ass Myron. These are two internet influencers who have a heavy presence. Everyone knows these guys. And then we're going around. We have a comedy show, which is not your regular comedy show. It's called We Talk Different. And it's more of a podcast comedy show, interactive show. It's brilliant. Brilliant. And we're kind of like on a hiatus right now from the Vivica A. Fox Presents Funny by Nature Comedy Tour. So I got a group of women together, Vivica Fox, Ashima Franklin, Jess Niche, and Crystal Powell. And then we created the Funny by Nature Comedy Tour. That was our baby. And we just, man, I have a couple of films that I am working on. I can't just talk about them now because, man, they really have you signing these non-disclosures. Like,
okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they're like, hey, these ideas are great. I'm like, it is.
I get it. So real quick, before we wrap up, what's it like curating content on your Instagram and TikTok and social media platforms? Like how much thought goes into it prior to, you hitting record? And I could tell some of it is just spontaneity.
Yeah.
But sometimes I could tell this is a skit, and it still turns out funny. But talk about, the energy putting into that.
Well, actually, I just recently had a video that went so viral.
On the airplane?
On the airplane, 38B. 38B, when I tell you, I look at that and laugh because that was spontaneous. That was Cheating Ass Myron. Him and I and Marco were on our way to St. Louis. We getting on a plane. I just started recording. He doesn't even know that I'm going to do this. So, but we have really good chemistry and he just went along with it. There it is. No thought I put into that. I saw that video for like 2 weeks. And then I'm laying in the bed one day. I'm like, I need to put up some content. What do I have? You scroll through your phone. I'm like, let me put this up. My homeboy hit me up like, man, it's at 4.5 million views in 9 hours. I was like, dude, you put it on your page? He's like, no, on your page. What? On my TikTok, where I, at that time, only had 6,000 followers. Yeah. And then before I knew it, 14 days later, I'm at 132,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Right.
What do you think what do you think it was that made it go viral? I
think it was just the authentic, just a real video. The people in first class were dying laughing.
It was funny.
Having that human experience, its reactions. You get what I'm saying? You couldn't make that up. Right. That was organic. And then for me, the funniest part when I say, hello, general admission, because because you should have seen, because they saw everything that was going on in first class. And when I say hello, general admission, they looking at me like, I seen all that. And it was just funny. So
it was.
A lot of time, content creators, we are in our head. And I at first I didn't want to be called a content creator, but it's a privilege to be called a content creator, especially in the day of content. And I'm a stand-up comedian, I'm an actress, I'm a content creator, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm everything that I say, I'm everything that I touch, I embody. Everything that I touch turns into gold. I have to know that I am it. So I just put out there and whatever happens, happens. What's the worst that can happen? But you go viral.
And you know, you're all those things. And what words of encouragement would you give other Black women that may say, you know what, Kellz reminds me of me, you know what, and maybe they're stuck in a rut or something, and you know, just need that extra inspiration and motivation to get over the hump and go achieving their dreams. What would you say to that young Black woman that's watching or listening right now?
I would simply tell them, don't quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're treading seems all uphill, when your funds are low and your debts are high, when you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learn, right? And many a failure turns about when you might have won if you stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow, you may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup, but he learned too late as the night came down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out with the silver line in the cloud of doubt. You never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight with your hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. You just can't quit on you. You have to bet and swing at everything that's coming your way, because the only time you fail is when you don't try.
That was amazing. Kellz, so much appreciation and gratitude for you taking out the time. Oh, real quick, if you were going on tour and you could take 2 other comedians with you out of the 4, which 2 are you taking? Tiffany Haddish, some more, Leslie Jones, or Monique?
I'm taking Monique and some more.
Okay. Why?
I'm taking them are the queens, undoubtedly. And they just embody that. And they super sexy. Shout out to Tiffany. I love her. She popping. She got her own thing. Shout out to Leslie. She big, bold, and beautiful. I love her. But it's some more is just, I feel like when I step on stage, I want to give some more vibes. A chandelier. I want to give lights, camera, action, glam. And then Monique, hey, I'm here. Take me as I am. So I would love that. And then once we're done with that first go around, we can go swing back around and get Leslie and Tiffany.
Listen, I hope and pray that we could do this again sometime in the future, especially when you catapult into the stratosphere and really, really blow up. Much success to you, and props to you and your husband, and blessings to y'all, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Kellz. You take care now.
All right, bye.
Bye.